Well, we start out with your typical unboxing and then finish it off with Storytime, which has actually been absent for a while, and I kind of missed it. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another unboxing, I guess it'll be. Let me see if I can find my... Oh, there we go. I find my trusty little knife over there. And actually, we've been doing the unboxings in recent weeks, I don't know, for the last month and a half of the Portrait of Pirates figures. So there have been some other things that I had and just kind of put on the side for the time being. You know, you can only make so many videos a week and edit them and everything else. So without further ado, we'll get right into this little one over here. And this one is, of course, by the title of it, it is not a Portrait of Pirates one. So we're taking a little break from that. We got to get caught back up on the manga and create a larger collection for that. So here we go. We'll dig right into this puppy here. It's from rightstuff.com. Very nice store, I think. And let's see what we have here. Hopefully the good things. Oh, and they even wrapped it nicely in the paper, which I love. So. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, we got us some goodness here. Let me get them all in order though, before I go and pop them up and show them. All right, we've got Toriko, volume number 11. There it is. Ah, it has that new, freshly printed smell to it. I tell you, just smells like goodness. So there we are with Toriko, volume 11. I know that we're only on volume 5 or 6 right now, but you gotta stay out ahead of the curve, if you know what I mean. So, then of course we've got Toriko, volume 12. And that one just looks very nice, too. Some of these you kind of wonder what's going on from the cover of it. I have no idea. It looks like they're standing on a giant leaf. And that's about it. All I can tell is that Toriko and Komatsu are still hanging out together at that point. Oh, and here they are again. Toriko and Komatsu. Lucky number 13. Komatsu. I don't know why I said Komatsu. Lucky number 13. So, there we are for that one. Toriko. Oh, that one smells lovely as well. And then, just for good measure and to throw it on top, we've got old Attack on Titan here, volume 9. Been keeping up on getting the volumes, although I gotta admit, I haven't been keeping up on reading them. And a lot of that is just because of time constraints, and I haven't gotten around to putting them together so I can do the reviews on them, because I really enjoy the series, and I think I'll have a ton of fun reviewing it as well. So I've been holding off on reading past, where I was at, I think in the third, fourth volume, something along those lines. So rest assured, I'll get caught right up to those pretty quickly over there. But now I guess it'll be it'll be time for maybe a story time, huh? You like a story time? I like a story time. Good. We both like a story time. You hit thumbs up for story time. Well, and now it's time for story time, everybody's favorite time, and sometimes mine too, except for when I'm racking my brains trying to think of a story to tell all of you. Even though I've got thousands of them saved up, it's one of those like, oh my god, I can't just tell one on command. So I've gotten a few questions, a few comments, and a few messages over the last several weeks wanting to, have a story, something in regards to when I was in the martial arts, when I was in Taekwondo. And I have a number of them, but the question that I really saw was that, you've said a few different times, Jim, that if you're mentally tough and if you're perceptive and you can gauge another person's weakness, that you can beat somebody who's an opponent who's bigger and who's stronger than you, or who's faster and stronger, or whatever the case may be. And, how can you do that? How can you teach me how to do that? I can't teach you how to do that in a 10 or 15 or 20-minute video. However, I can tell you a story about a particular instance where I wound up actually getting to attack and beat up a cop. And it was actually pretty cool because I didn't go to jail for it. So the whole preface to this is that there was a police officer, a couple of them actually, that wound up. They trained at the same dojo that I did under the same master and everything else. And there was this one cop, and at the time I was a teenager. I was probably 16 or 17. I don't even know, maybe even 15. I know that I was in high school, and he was probably into his well into his 20s, maybe even early 30s. But he was a punk. He was fresh out of the academy, and he was just a real prick, you know. Everything he did in class he tried to be louder and more obnoxious, and he just always tried to push the envelope. When we would spar at the end of class, it was supposed to be light contact. He'd always be getting reprimanded for hitting or pushing somebody down a little bit too hard, even people that were younger than him or smaller than him. He was a bully in every sense of the word, and a piece of shit, and I'm not a big fan of police either, so just my personal opinion, because most of them are nothing but a mouth with a badge, and they hide behind the badge as much as they can. This cop was no different, and he and I had tussled a few different times in class, because I was not a person. I was a punk teenager that certainly wouldn't back down from the likes of a police officer. And hey, once we got the uniforms and the belts on, buddy, you can't hide behind your badge, you know. So we had a couple of little altercations here or there. We went pretty hard when we were doing the free fighting at the end of of each class. Nonetheless, though, what wound up happening is one night I'm out and about with a few of my friends, and we're walking around as teenagers do. We were bored, we had nothing to do. It's the 90s, so we didn't have, smartphones and internet and all that bullshit. So we're walking around, and I think we had been at like McDonald's or maybe Denny's or something like that earlier, and somebody had taken a pocket full of straws, right? Straws in their little paper wrapper. And we were goofing around. A lot of us, had been experimenting, smoking cigarettes and stuff like that at the time. So somebody had a lighter on them, and we're walking along in this plaza, and we're kind of just burning the straws, just goofing around, lighting them on fire like they're a match and burning them. All of a sudden, a car pulls up. It's a police car, and woo, and I hear a voice come out of the car, and it's a familiar voice. It's this cop, right? And this guy, I won't mention his name because I don't know if I can get into any type of trouble for that, but we'll just leave it at he was a prick. And so this guy goes and he stops and, "Hey, Jim, what you doing over there?" And he knew what we were doing, right? So he made it a point to get out of the car and spend the next 10 or 15 minutes attempting to embarrass me in front of my 3 or 4 friends. One of them was actually a very nice-looking girl who I was attempting to get together with, kind of date at the time, And he thought it would be fun to go and be a prick to me and talk about the rules and the tenets that we had in Taekwondo and have me recite some of them back, threaten to arrest me, all these other sort of things. What wound up happening is he really just pissed me off. That's what happened, because I don't really forget things. I forgive and I move on to some degree, but I don't ever forget. And what he didn't realize is that even though he was bigger and stronger and actually had a badge to hide behind, I had a lot more heart and determination than he had. So I ate the shit that he gave to me while we were having this little altercation, and then moved on from it. The next time we went to actually go to a promotion, it was a promotion, and then there was a tournament. And this was up in Wisconsin, so it was from people would come from a few states around. There were several hundred participants, and he and I were actually both the same rank at the time. I believe we were like a green belt or maybe blue, I forget. But nonetheless, we had the same forms, the same everything we went through. So when we were testing and promoting, there were several times, because there was only 6 or 7 of us, he and I were evenly matched as far as size-wise. We were about the same height and everything. So we got matched up for a few different things. Some of those were the hand-to-hand free fighting and sparring, which was great. And then the other one was we learned a lot of, they're called Hapkido, and it's actually, they're close moves. Like if someone goes to, they're reactionary moves. If someone goes to grab you in a certain spot or a certain way, it's a way to use pressure points and their own body weight to take them down and to obviously harm them. If you ever get attacked, mugged, whatever, right? So nonetheless, the harder you do these moves to someone, when you're going through the motions, you just want to go and show the judges that you know how to. You're not really trying to disable or hurt the person, unless you're me. Me and this cop wound up getting paired up against each other, and I saw the opportunity with a particular move that we had to do where I grabbed his hand, and the harder I grabbed it, the more pressure it put on his fingers and shot pain all the way up into his arm. I pulled him down, hunched him over, and then when you're supposed to go and bring the knee up into his face, you're supposed to come very close and just lightly touch and then pull back. I accidentally went right through, and I didn't want to hit his nose because I didn't want blood to fly all over. I would have been disqualified, but I hit him in his forehead. Now, what did this do other than piss him off? Not a whole lot at that time. But when I went and I finished the move and I put him down, and then you're supposed to go and you're supposed to, finish him off with a punch. You don't really hit him, you get close, that sort of thing. And then you do they call it's basically like your key hop. They call it key hop, but what it is it's just a move, a guttural sound that you make. It can be, or it can be, or whatever it is you want to. You can grunt, growl, snarl. You could be a titties, whatever you want to do, right? So as I go and put him down, trip his leg out from under him and go to finish this thing, I come at him and I go, And as I come at him, man, I get my knuckle right, just boom, right to where he could feel the wind and he could feel my knuckle just touch the bridge of his nose. And as I go to be a good sportsman and grab his hand and help him back up, I whisper in his ear, "You ever fuck with me again, and I'm not gonna stop," with the punch or whatever, right? So I knew that would piss him off and that we'd have to free fight later on, and it'd be great, because again, this guy, he's 10, 15 years older than me. He's tried embarrassing me once already. He's just a prick to everyone. He really needed to be taught a lesson, and he did. He got taught a lesson. So later on, we're getting paired up, and we're going into the free form fighting part of the thing. And you basically go and you have it's pretty much like a round. I think it's about 2.5 to 3 minutes, and you go and you fight. And what it is it's full contact. Okay, it's full contact. You get points for certain hits in certain places. You're supposed to stay away from certain areas, but obviously things happen in the heat of the moment and fighting and what have you. And the great thing was that I had set this all up, and I had thought in my head, this guy is stupid enough to where if I piss him off halfway through, which I did with the whispering in his ear and everything, I knew that I would get him to then go and make a mistake and come at me. So he was bigger than me, and by all accounts, he was actually stronger than me too. The thing was that I knew that he favored his right side, so I made sure that I always went and I came over on the far right of him, so he couldn't have any strength throwing a right-sided attack, kick or punch at me. He'd have to use his left leg. And then what I did is I made sure that I egged him on. Every time he'd come close to me and almost land a hit or I'd block it, I'd go and I'd be like, come on, aren't you going to try? Come on. And I'd do it loudly so everybody around could hear. Well, that really pissed him off. And then I wound up getting him to actually go and charge at me like an idiot. The nice thing about getting inside on me is that I have longer legs, so when I can keep you away as long as I want with kicks, right? What he didn't realize is that my father had taught me quite a bit of American boxing. So I know how to throw a proper hook. I know how to throw them haymakers. I know how to throw an uppercut, right? And effectively, too. So as soon as this dumb shit went and lunged inside and allowed me an opening, I cold cocked him with the strongest left hook I've probably ever thrown in my life. And he had a helmet on too. You got padding and everything else. And I had a padded glove on as well. I hit this motherfucker so hard though that you just saw like the snot and the sweat and everything just come out of his face like in slow motion. Perfect thing. I didn't lay him out, but I wound up knocking him down and getting him so dazed and confused that they asked him if he could go on. And he just went, he's no. And the whole time I've just got this smirk and this look on my face. All the judges, who are all Korean, they're all of Asian descent, they're all talking to each other and everything because they hadn't seen a lot of American boxing. A lot of what they taught us was knife hand chops and short strikes, some jabs, things like that. They had not ever seen someone go and lure someone in like I did and then just lay them out with a hook. And again, this was full contact. But it wasn't meant to be like blood sport, full contact, you know what I mean, where people were like losing teeth and getting knocked unconscious and broken bones and stuff like that. It's full contact with pads on for a duration of time. Anyway, the point to the whole story is don't ever let anybody bully you or talk down to you or treat you differently, and don't let them do it for the sole reason that they're bigger and stronger, okay? Because everybody has a weakness. I've had somebody come straight at me that probably outweighed me by 100 pounds, and I turned to the side and put my leg firmly in his kneecap, and he wound up rolling over and doubling over his own knee, sprained or broke that particular knee, and fell down on the ground like the tub of shit that he was. Had he made contact with me, I probably wouldn't be here today to talk about it. But that's just an example, There's always somebody that's going to be bigger and stronger out there, but the thing that you're actually taught in the martial arts that I liked is they teach you how not to fight. They teach you how to look at your opponent, to study your opponent. They teach you how to walk away. And they teach you self-defense should you have to get to the point where you ever do have to fight. But I can tell you that from my experience, I've walked away from more fights than I've accepted, and a lot of it was because of that training, because of that teaching. And occasionally there's somebody who just wants to scrap with you no matter what, and in those type of instances, that's where it comes into play, being very perceptive and being able to look and find an opponent's weakness, or being able to lure an opponent into your trap. Everybody has an emotional weakness. You piss somebody off, tell them something about their sister, their mother, their girlfriend, their brother, whatever it is, right? And you get them to go and get angry and make a mistake. You think that they're angrier and they're going to come at you harder and faster and everything else? Nope.
they're going to come at you and they're going to do it in an untraditional way because now they want to show you up. They want to show you who's boss. And I'm not saying that this is a foolproof method for winning any type of fight. You really should just try to avoid physical fights and confrontations at all costs whenever possible. But again, there is always going to be those type of times or those scenarios where somebody goes and wants to come at you, wants to come at somebody that you care about, and you're going to have to retaliate in one way, shape, or form. But that's just my 2 bits, my 2 cents. My time is up over here. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you like these stories and if you should think that I deserve it. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and we will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
Hey, remember to follow me over on my other channel and Twitter and Facebook as well, huh?